Hey Cohort R, it is Miss S, and I'm going to be talking to you guys about this activity that we were doing in class. I'm kind of do the best I can to make it as a class for 1 through 5 while you guys work on 6 through 10 independently. It's kind of weird because I'm talking to a video, right, and you guys aren't actually here, but our assignment for the day is the Who is the Guilty Party activity. So when you open it up, it is a Google Doc, and you will see, by the time you guys look at it tomorrow, I'll probably say type here. It looks a little different just because I've been working on it today. But I'll start by reading what the main objective is. So the Puritans, a group of people with a rigid religious code, live and die by the 10 Commandments, 10 laws given to them by Moses, or given to Moses by God in Exodus. So these are 10 rules that the Puritans had to live by. The laws were intended to serve as a moral compass, and guilty parties were to be judged by God, not man. So the idea is that you live by these 10 rules. God will judge you in the end for how well you've abided by these 10 rules, not your peers. But we know about the Puritans. We've been studying them since September, and we know that they are very judgy people, and they're very much like in their neighbor's business. So, shocker. However, the Puritans in town of Salem had lost sight of that piece of it, and they were quick to point fingers at the people they perceived or knew to be guilty of sinning. So very much like, he's a witch, they did something wrong, pay attention to that guy, he's taking my land. Guilt and remorse are two prevalent forces that haunt the characters in Arthur Miller's The Crucible. But just who is guilty for the death and destruction brought to the small town in 1692? Who is really guilty? Who is the reason that all of this happened? In the tablets below, take a look at the 10 Commandments as delineated in the Bible. Then decide who, if anyone in the play, is truly guilty of disobeying each commandment. So the goal here is to read all 10 commandments and decide and put a character. You will have at least one character for every single commandment. In fact, you'll probably have 2 or 3 for each commandment. And then there's going to be a question at the bottom that I'll talk to you about afterwards. But how do I type in this? How do I get this open? Google Docs is a little funky. It just doesn't work as a Google slide. It was too small. So you have to double click in order to be able to type in here. So you'll see right here, you can type in here. And you would just go 1, and maybe you're going to decide who that person is. So I'll do the first one with you. So the 10 Commandments over here on the left-hand side, we see that one is thou shalt have no other God before me. So basically, there should be no other gods before. We know that these are Christian Puritans, before their God. So no other gods should be worshipped. Well, we know that some of our other characters were worshiping other gods, right? We're talking about witchcraft. In fact, we know that one of them originally admitted in the beginning. You're thinking of Act 1. What characters were admitting to being part of witchcraft in the beginning? So that definitely started with Tituba. We know that Tituba said, yes, you're right, I work for the devil, and I've gotten other people to work for the devil with me, but I want to come back to God now. So who else said that in those same scenes, right? And someone that you're probably going to use their name a lot in these 10 commandments, and who's breaking those commandments, right? That's the sinners on the right, the people who are breaking the commandments. We're also going to see Abigail, right? Like she also admitted right after Tituba that she was working with witches. She was being doing witchcraft and working with the devil in order to get whatever she wanted. But she was guilty of it for at least admitting it too. So those are our first 2. Then you would just hit enter, and it'll bring you to number 2. These are Roman numerals on the side. You can just use regular numbers on the right-hand side. But I'll go through the first couple with you. So thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. So you should not, thou shalt not, you shall not, you should not make any bad image, graven, like just not polite, or something that could harm them, some sort of image that's damaging of anyone above, the likeness of anything that's above. So that's thinking gods, angels, saints, or anything that's below. You're thinking devils, witches, demons, or in the water. So who pretty much makes who talks about either anyone below or anyone above in a damaging way. There's a couple characters for both. So I'm not going to give this away because I think this one should be relatively easy for you. But then you would go into 3. You shall not take the name of thy Lord God in vain. So you don't curse him, right? You wouldn't say something like Proctor says at the end of Act 3, if you want to check that out, in case you don't remember. But you're looking for someone who said the Lord's name in vain, which is like people say, gosh darn it, but they actually say the words, or they say like Jesus Christ, right? So who takes the Lord's name in vain? Who says it as like a curse word? 4, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. The Sabbath day we've talked about in class. It's Sunday. So who is not remembering that Sunday is a holy day where you're supposed to go to church, and who's not going to church? Who's working instead? That's whose name you're going to put there. Honor thy father and thy mother. Who is not honoring? Who or whom, or there might be several here. Who is not honoring thy father and thy mother? Who is kind of disobeying them, or going against the things that they taught you, the moral code that they taught you, which, as an example, you can put the girls in general, meaning all these girls that are crying witchcraft. Of course, this one's straightforward. 6, thou shalt not kill. Who is getting people hanged for witchcraft? Who's in charge of that? So you want to put that name there. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Adultery is cheating on one's wife or husband. We have 2 names that we could put here. One for the person who's actually married, one for the person that's not married, but still involved in the adultery, if you will. So that's cheating on your husband or wife. Thou shalt not steal. Stealing is pretty obvious, right? We know what it means to steal. This one, you got to think back to Act 1. We have a couple really greedy people in our town of Salem. One that's really greedy for land, one that was greedy for more money, and a better house and some firewood. So you want to think back to those clues. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. So basically, you shouldn't lie about your neighbor. You shouldn't say things that are damaging about your neighbor that would get them in trouble. Well, that is happening all over Salem. You're going to have 1,000 names for that. So pick a couple. And this did not finish, but this, for some reason, it didn't finish the whole, like, my brain. The whole, oh my gosh, phrase. I just stopped so I remember the word phrase, but it's basically like thou shalt not covet like one's a neighbor's wife or a neighbor's husband or a neighbor's land. Basically, you should not desire things that other people have. It's like envy. So you are committing a sin against that commandment when you're desiring things that other people have, which we definitely have a clear-cut character for this right away. But there are several characters who want things that their neighbors or other people have. So you're going to go through and answer those. You're going to want at least one for every 10 commandments, but you're probably going to have several. And then you'll see this question right down here. It says, is there one sin that is greater than another as committed by someone in the play? So do one of these sins against one of these commandments, is one of those worse than another sin? Or are they all, the fact that you're doing them, just bad in general? Why or why not? And cite from the play to support your response. So you can either tell me what's the worst sin that's been committed in the play and why you think it's the worst sin and use some events from the story to support that, or you can just tell me who do you think is the greatest sinner in this play so far? Who is committing the most of these sins, and explain why and how you know through events and stuff in the story. And you'll see right here, you're going to use 5 sentences to do that. You can just hit enter and type everything right down there. So let me know if you guys have any questions. My cohort R, good luck today. Again, please reach out. It's one of those weeks where we just can't talk to each other. So let me know if you're confused or need anything. All right, guys. See ya.